Namaste. Sometimes, being sadhaks, we might wonder that we don't have enough support around us, or we might be born in a family which do not have much spiritual values, or your spouse may not have that much spiritual interest. So, this is a common thing, and then people tend to feel like maybe just the way they live, the way others people, most other non spiritually inclined people live, may be a better path. So, there is a story from Buddha's life which Swami Ramatheertha tells us about. So, in this story that Swami Ramatirtha says, Buddha is on his alms round seeking bhiksha. The generally monks and sadhus, even before Buddha's time, this has been a tradition that for their basic needs, they depend on others, grihasthas especially. So, similarly, he was going around begging alms. And this actually should be a sign of inspiration for grihasthas. But many times what happens, like many people look down upon, people who are asking for such alms. So similarly, he was walking and he happened to come across the kingdom which belonged to his father, where he himself grew up as a prince. So there his father hears of it and he's a bit sad. And he comes out and he talks to Buddha and tells, My son, what has become of you? None of us in our whole ancestors ever begged. Nor, of course, anybody sought to this kind of life that you are now seeking. So change your ways. You are a prince. Live like a prince. Don't beg for food. And of course, this is the way the world tells all of us, right? That why you have to live in such ways, why you want to spend your time doing yoga, meditation, or other spiritual studies, the study of scriptures. It's all a waste of time. Be practical, do something productive. So similarly there, Buddha, however, being a realized person, he responded and said that it is true that I was born to your family and that I have your so called DNA or genes, but I had spiritual samskaras, those spiritual genes in me, and they awakened in time and brought me back to the path. So many lives I have lived seeking the spiritual quest, and so many lives you have lived seeking material quest. So you are naturally drawn to that kind of life. And I'm drawn to this life and I want to make the most of it. And so this is what he says, that there are two paths crossing. And so when those two paths cross, we meet for a while. But then I go on my way and you go on your way. And unfortunately, that the way that the king, his father, and those who are in the material life seek, it's a long way. Many more life you have to go through suffering. Many more lives you have to be born. And that is the way of ignorance. And this is also what the Lord tells Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. Bahuni me vyatithani janmani tava charjuna. Tanyaham vetta sarvani natvam vetta parantapa. Many lives we were born together, Arjuna. I know of all of them, but you have forgotten them all. So we think that this is the only life, but so many lives we have gone through, and in this life, the spiritual inclination that has come to us, we have to make the most of it. We have to work towards that moksha, that highest liberation, that freedom from all suffering, nirvana, as Buddha put it, cessation of all suffering. So that is the motivation. And of course, many times people, especially, who are beginners on the path or those who don't have that kind of support of the body or abilities or are later in age, they say that, maybe this life I will not make it. And this is what Arjuna also tells Bhagavan there, that, what if I become a yoga brashta, meaning I not able to fulfill the destiny or seek that highest goal of Paramananda, what happens then? Like, is all of this gone to a waste? Then I might have as well enjoyed the worldly life, but I gave up that and I give up this and I'm nowhere, and I don't even achieve this goal and I'm lost in between. So there the Lord assures him that at least your spiritual samskaras you have bought, that efforts they are imprinted in your subtle body. So wherever you are born next, you will naturally seek to be born in those families which are supportive. If not, you will be born in conditions, which will awaken that, will give you the opportunities. And so this is assurance that no matter how much we can, we should make that effort. We should make that effort to progress. And that what happens ultimately, we come to that point as Bhagavan says, Tatratam buddhi sanyogam labate paurvadehikam yatate cha tatho bhuyaha samsiddho kurunandana. Buddhi sanyoga you will get, meaning that awakening of wisdom, that knowledge that will awaken in you uh, from your previous birth, from your all the efforts you have made in your previous lives, they will reawaken. That will rekindle that interest. But you have to protect it. You have to work on it, develop it, and that is the most important thing to develop. Because if you are happy seeking smaller impermanent happiness that the world is seeking, then you'll enjoy that life, but again you will be born back to the world of suffering, that samsara. So this is that higher path that all of us should seek to work towards. In that same story, like in Buddha's many stories, they say, he was born in many lives and he did many good deeds. The Panchatantra, there are so many stories of Buddha, and he did a lot of good deeds in his previous lives until he became the Buddha. But every effort that you make in every life is counted. And of course, the path of the higher paths in Vedanta and all that, that goal is that you are that pure soul all the time. And this is what saints such as Swami Ramatheertha bring us, is that knowledge, that eternal truth of our own true nature. Many saints in our Indian tradition, not just Buddha. There are a lot of saints, recent years, Ramakrishna Paramsa, Ramana Maharshi, they all became awake to that truth. And similarly, we see that people who were born in very unfriendly circumstances to demonic families, such as Prahalada, Vibhishana, that samskara was there in them, that they awoke to that reality. They got the grace of God. So, having gained that grace of God, they realize themselves. So, on this nearing Buddha Purnima, I thought this is an apt message, and the story from Swami Ramatheertha hopefully will give us inspiration regardless of where we are, what kind of family we have, what kind of neighbors we have. If we, even in holy cities, there are neighbors, people who may not be friendly. So it is not like if we just live in some place by itself, it will carry us. Of course, that is helpful, but we have to make that spiritual effort. Okay, with that, I end my message. Om Namo Narayana.